Over the years, it's become stereotyped that people with OCD just like things to be clean and things to be straight. It's become a common term that people use now to describe themselves when they do any extra cleaning or organizing. And while many people with OCD do care about cleanliness and organization, it goes far beyond that. OCD can control your life and significantly affect your daily functioning. Today, on How to Charisma, we're going to look at 5 signs that you might have OCD. This video is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be used as a proper diagnosis. If you feel you may have OCD, we suggest speaking with a professional in the field. Before we get into the signs, here's a brief overview of the disorder. OCD is a disorder in which there are obsessions and compulsions. Obsessions are usually categorized as impulses, thoughts, or images that occur over and over and feel out of your control. Compulsions are the repetitive behaviors you engage in to make the obsessions go away. For some people, these thoughts and behaviors can take up hours of their day, leading to feeling stuck and imprisoned by their OCD. Having OCD can feel lonely and frustrating, but the truth is, if you have it, you're not alone. It's estimated that 100 million to 150 million people worldwide have OCD. Despite that, not all the signs are as straightforward as you might think, making it difficult to identify. Number 1. Intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are one of the less known signs of OCD. Intrusive thoughts can be categorized by thoughts that feel out of your control and lead to feelings like guilt, fear, anxiety, and distress. These thoughts will often be repetitive, and they will go against how you feel, what you believe, and what you want to do. Some examples of intrusive thoughts include thoughts about painful events in your past, doubts in your relationship, or if you did something or not, violent thoughts, worries about contamination, fear of doing something embarrassing, or intrusive sexual thoughts. There are other types of intrusive thoughts, and each of those has subcategories, but the ones mentioned are some of the most common. OCD is nicknamed the doubting disease as it will latch on to any little bit of uncertainty and start spinning out infinite what-if scenarios. Oftentimes, your mind will take the things you care about the most and twist them into terrifying scenarios. Take a look at this clip from the movie Matchstick Men with Nicolas Cage.
Fibers on my carpet, and the whole time I was watching my carpet, I was worrying that I might vomit, and the whole time I was thinking, I'm a grown man, I should know what goes on in my head. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I should just blow my brains out and end it all. But then I thought, if I thought more about blowing my brains out, I started worrying about what that was going to do to my goddamn carpet.
He says that he spent hours watching the fibers of his carpet and worrying that he might vomit. His thoughts then spin from there to the idea of blowing his brains out. And from there he worries about what blowing his brains out would do to his carpet because he knows that he would experience compulsions to clean every inch of the carpet if that were to happen. But obviously the whole scenario doesn't make sense in the first place because he'd be dead if he were to do that, which goes to show the intrusiveness of the thoughts. It's a constant what-if battle, even if it's not perfectly logical. Clearly, intrusive thoughts can prevent you from going about your life normally, as these thoughts can take over simple tasks and turn them into a whole ordeal. Let's look at the next sign. Number 2. Needing to check or repeat things over and over. If you have OCD, you might feel the need to check or repeat things over and over again. You may triple check to make sure that the sync is off, or reread an email 12 times for errors before sending it. Or, you might need to do something a certain number of times. For instance, lock and unlock the door 6 times or repeat something in your head over and over. Often, this is driven by the fear that something bad will happen if you don't check or repeat things. Let's look at a clip from the movie As Good as It Gets for an example of what we mean. In this video, Jack Nicholson's character has OCD and has to unlock and relock each lock on the door a specific number of times. As we find out in the film, this is driven by his underlying anxiety of what will happen if he doesn't do those things. Now, obviously people are going to have differing severity and types of the disorder. Some people won't feel the need to do things a certain number of times, but may still check things multiple times. Here's one more example from the movie Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Serious now. Show me all the blueprints. 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 Show me all the blueprints.
In both of these clips, the thoughts become so intrusive that they feel the need to repeat things over and over, while in reality, checking or repeating things that many times is just a compulsion from whatever intrusive thoughts they were having. These thoughts outweigh the logic that you really only need to do those things once. Number 3. Fear of germs or contamination. Fear of germs or contamination is commonly associated with OCD. This doesn't mean normal hygiene, like washing your hands before eating because you don't want to contaminate your food. The fear of germs and contamination seen in OCD goes several steps beyond that because there's an obsessive nature to it. Take a look at comedian Howie Mandel speaking about his fear of even shaking hands with someone else because he's afraid of germs.
Like if somebody shook my hand, I could shake hands. I don't shake hands. I could shake hands, but I'm afraid that if I get triggered, if your hand is a little bit wet or moist or somebody, and then I go and wash my hands, that sticks into my head, and then I go, well, I probably didn't wash it good enough. I go back in and I scald it, and then I walk out and I go, I didn't get every inch of it.
Howie avoids shaking hands because he knows it will lead to a compulsion of him feeling like he has to go wash his hands for 9 minutes to relieve his anxiety. He'll feel the need to wash his hands over and over in order to remove the feeling of germs or contamination. Just because someone washes their hands excessively doesn't mean they think it's completely necessary. Oftentimes, people with OCD will see the excessive hand washing as just that, excessive. But they feel the need to do that much washing to relieve all of the anxiety from the obsession. Like Howie Mandel, if you're suffering from OCD, you might feel the need to wash your hands compulsively after shaking someone's hand or touching a doorknob. Or you may even do things like hold your breath when you walk past certain people. Number 4. Numbers obsession. Another possible sign of OCD is being obsessed with numbers. You might have certain safe numbers and other numbers that you avoid. David Beckham has famously spoken out about his OCD and his numbers obsession in particular. Let's take a look at his interview to understand how this works.
They said you have to have the drink labels lined up a certain way in the fridge and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, if there's like 2 bottles of water and 2 bottles of Coke and 2 bottles of Sprite, if there's an extra can, then I take it out and put it in the cupboard and hide it.
David Beckham talks about feeling the need to have things ordered in equal pairs. In this instance, pairs of 2. If there's a 3rd bottle of soda or water in his cabinet that doesn't fit the equal pairs of other bottles, he has the urge to remove it and place it elsewhere so everything in his cabinet matches up. Like David Beckham in the movie The Aviator, Leonardo DiCaprio's character Howard Hughes has an obsession with numbers.
Bottle of milk with the cap on.
Howard, if you're seriously talking about putting carnality back on the silver screen, you must swear to let me in on the casting session. I have somewhat of an eye for talent. Isn't that right, Johnny?
You gotta give up that prancing and tact to be a talent.
This scene shows Leonardo DiCaprio's character demanding exactly 12 peas with his dinner. When his friend takes a pea from his plate, DiCaprio's character is thrown off and disturbed because he considers the number 12 to be safe or lucky. Maybe you have safe and unsafe numbers too. For instance, maybe you feel the need to repeat things in your head a certain number of times. Or, if you're drinking water, you may drink 3 sips at a time before setting your glass down, but avoid 2 sips to prevent something bad from happening. Something bad that you may not even know what it is. It's just scary. If you find yourself doing this, it's possible you have OCD. Let's look at our final sign. Number 5. Excessive reassurance. It's perfectly normal for people to need reassurance. You might want to make sure that the outfit you're wearing looks okay, or that the toast you gave at a wedding was good. However, someone with OCD can have an obsession with needing reassurance, and will check in with someone else over and over again to satisfy the obsession. Excessive reassurance falls under the umbrella of compulsion. You might spend a long time wiping down the kitchen table, but feel the need to ask someone else if it looks clean enough. Or maybe you're writing out a message to your boss and you read it 100 times, but feel the need to check with someone else if what you wrote is okay. You may feel like you have to get that outside reassurance to relieve anxiety. Reassurance could even be about other people, like feeling the need to ask your partner if they washed their hands. That may sound like a normal thing to say, and it is, but it's the feeling that you have to ask them that. That's the difference between reassurance seeking and information seeking. If you take a step back, you will see that it's really just a cycle of obsessions being relieved with compulsions, and many compulsions in some way can be traced back to intrusive thoughts. Do you or someone you know exhibit these signs? Or have you already been diagnosed with OCD? Share your experiences down below, as you never know who you could help or who could help you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to How to Charisma so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.